Welcome to Cooking with Bree and Krista. We'll be doing our s'mores bar today, and we have our residents who have joined us today in the activity room for this cooking course. So what we have today, ladies, we are making this recipe thanks to Mrs. Wurzberger, who found the recipe in the newspaper and said, "This sounds great, let's make this." And I thought, yes, I'm on board, this sounds amazing. So what we have here, we're gonna start off with a few mixtures. This right here is our graham crackers, our baking powder, we have our flour, and our salt. Everything is in there, ready to go, and I whisked it together to make it all nice and combined. And to start off this recipe, we have our butter and our sugar right here. We're gonna add this in and beat it until creamy. And now this is when it's gonna get a little loud in here. You can go ahead and turn off for that part. Okay. So we have our butter and our sugar creamed together, just like you would normally find the creamed mixture. Now in our next step, and we want it nice and fluffy. For our next step, we're gonna add our egg. I'm gonna crack it in a side bowl. And our kitchen staff was so sweet. They have been so helpful with our cooking demos. Here's our egg. When we can't get to the store and need the ingredients, our kitchen's able to order what we request a week ahead of time and provide us with the ingredients we need, which is so very kind of them. So now we have our egg and our vanilla in there. We're gonna go ahead and mix that together. Now all nice and combined, just like, you know, the base of a cookie dough. Actually, they call it the cookie batter in the recipe. We have our dry mixture. Again, it's graham crackers. We've got our flour, our salt, and our baking powder. We're gonna add it into our creamed mixture. There we go. And mix it together. Now we want it to be a coarse cookie dough. We don't want it to be too combined. It's just gonna be like a crumble. So we're gonna mix that together. Mixture, I'm gonna show you what the coarse mixture looks like. This is just what you want, not too combined, not too much of an actual dough, but you do have the coarse right there. So in the recipe, it asks us to reserve 1 cup of this topping so that we can put it on top of our of the s'mores bar at the very end for the final stage of cooking. So I'm just gonna put in, there we go, we got a 1/2 cup here and a 1/2 cup here. We've got our cups, 1 cup of the crumb mixture. Now we're gonna take this, the rest of this batter, the cookie batter, and add it to our prepared pan. You can do this with a little bit of Pam cooking spray and make sure it's nice and oiled because you want those bars to pop right out. You can also do it with a parchment paper lining. That will help to lift the bars up. I'm gonna put this in here. This is a super fun part. Brings me back to my childhood. When a kid take the dough my mom would make and mess around with it. Sometimes she'd make cookies and reserve a little bit so that I could have my own roller and press out cookie dough in different shapes and have my own pan of cookies that I had made. You know, hers looked great, all uniform. Mine were a little crazy, but it's how I got to learn and I loved it. She was so good. If you can see, I'm just pressing it right into the pan, making a good cookie base. There we go. We want it nice and even so that I don't have any burning going on. I don't want my base to burn. So I'm gonna stick it in my oven right here. And this oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And I'm gonna set my timer here to help me remember that it's in the oven. I don't wanna forget about that. Now, I have some notes about the s'mores, and I wanted to share a little bit of the background of what s'mores are and where they come from. So we know them as 2 graham crackers that are one on top, one on the bottom. You've got your nice chocolate Hershey layer, and you have your giant marshmallow. So I was very surprised to find that the s'mores originally got their start in 1819 when teenagers would be out on the campsites, and they used it as a way to flirt with each other. They would grab some sticks and roast marshmallows, and it was flirting if you were to nibble off of somebody else's stick and eat the marshmallows. I thought that was so cute. And then a little bit later on, in about 1913, is when the Mallomars were invented. Now, if you know those are graham crackers. They've got the marshmallow inside and coated with chocolate. So a form of s'mores, if we're thinking about a little bit. And not soon after that was the moon pies. Now, these are all great treats, but the problem is they were only selling in the winter months because the chocolate was melting in the summer. No one wanted to throw them in the back of the car because they would just be a melted mess. Hello, ladies. Welcome. So then, that's about 1913, 1915 when those 2 came out. And in about 1927, the Girl Scouts released a guidebook called Blazing Through the Trails or something along that sort. And in that guidebook, Loretta Scott Crew wrote a recipe, and it was titled Some S'mores. Because when you try this recipe, you're going to want some more. So eventually, it was shortened to s'mores to make it easier. You know how it gets hip and catches on and people abbreviate. So that is how the s'mores were invented. Over, the course of about 25 to 30 years, we've got these wonderful s'mores we get to eat right here. Now, we baked a batch ahead of time. So I'm going to show you what it looks like after they come out. Actually, it's probably not too hot. No, it's not too bad. So you remember how we had our cookie layer on the bottom. And after it comes out of the oven, I'll show you in just a few minutes, we will add our chocolate layer with our Hershey chocolate bars. And then we'll add our Jiffy Puff marshmallow cream mix. And smooth that all out and add our marshmallows to the top. Now from right here, it looks like the yams you prepare for Thanksgiving dinner. That's what I see right here. All the marshmallows on the top.
That's pretty.
Yeah. So we'll cut those up in just a few moments and share those. But I wanted to ask, can anyone remember the first time they had a s'more?
The first what?
The first time you ever had a s'more?
No.
Mrs. Fruitman?
I do. Believe it or not, it's only been 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I went to a barbecue up north, and they served them. And I remember my daughter talking about them because when she was in Brownies, she was real excited.
Right.
But I didn't ever make them. Never even thought of it. It sounded very messy. But they are good. I really enjoyed them. So, and that's good for Hershey's, I'll tell you that. I love chocolate.
Yes, and I was learning that Mrs. Siegel.
I went to camp when I was like 10 or 11, and we certainly made those.
Yes.
On the campfire, right?
Isn't it funny how fast it catches on, and you think, oh, it's okay if the chocolate melts. It makes it easier to eat it all together, in the summer. I love that. I was learning a little bit about Hershey, but before I go into that, I'll tell you, I grew up in Southern California, where we would go to the beaches and have bonfires growing up. And a lot of the times, as a little toddler, we would have these s'mores and the marshmallows and we would eat them. Well, with the toddler, you're a little messy, so often the marshmallows smeared all over the face.
That's right.
But I wasn't done playing in the sand. So we'd go back into the sand, and at the end, I'd be caked in sand on my fingers and all over my face. And my mother despised bonfires. She just like, you guys come back too messy. But we went anyways and made great memories and a lot of dirty fun. That was a lot of mess, but it was good. Yes,
One
Mrs.
thing I
Ricker.
look forward to when we have our chuck wagon dinners, and we
Oh,
are
yeah,
able to
we
make s'mores. And
Oh!
yeah, and
That's
that's,
right.
I look forward to that, and Krista knows I come over and say, oh, good.
Oh, that's so fun.
I'm the controller of the bonfire.
If I needed some more, I put them in my microwave. I put a,
Mhm.
you know, a graham cracker with a marshmallow on top of it. And it
Yes.
gets gooey and I take it out and put the chocolate and the other one on and take
That's
care of it. That
perfect.
takes care of it
Mhm,
right
mhm.
away.
I love how simple it is, and they're, you know, pantry items that most of us have on a regular basis. I mean, graham crackers are great for snacking. Who doesn't have some form of chocolate in their pantry? And the marshmallows, I mean, if you don't have the actual ones like this, you can always go for the cream.
Yeah.
Make it up. I went to a long time ago. I went to a bonfire and they had they didn't have chocolate, so they took frosting from a can and used that to spread over their graham crackers for the marshmallows. I thought that was creative. You know, you just need something else besides the marshmallow and the graham cracker, and that was a really great idea. So I'm gonna go ahead and check on these right here. Okay, we still have a few more minutes. They're looking pretty good. We'll see. So let's see, I'm gonna talk a little bit about Hershey right here. So we've got our Hershey bars. And has anyone visited Hershey, Pennsylvania? Yeah, awesome, awesome. Did you get to tour the factory or?
No, we were on our way from Ohio to New York and we stopped there for lunch or dinner and they wouldn't let us in because my father didn't have a jacket on.
Oh, wow.
So we just kept going. We were there in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but we didn't get to eat any Hershey candy or go to lunch.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, when you're traveling 500 miles, I'm sure my father, in the summer, I'm sure my father did not have a jacket.
Oh, how times have changed. We just went a few summers ago, I think it was about 2016, 2017, to visit and tour the factory, and I don't think they have a jacket policy anymore, but definitely back then I could see how they would. They have a great restaurant where they make things like their chili, it's chocolate chili.
Wow.
And it's savory, but it incorporates the cocoa powder that they use to make their chocolate bars. And Hershey, Mr. Hershey, you know, had started out in candy making and caramel making, but didn't, you know, he kind of stumbled upon chocolate making when he attended a fair and looked into it and said, oh wait, I could do something with this cocoa. Let's make it a little sweet. Let's make it not as bitter as the cocoa that they had been serving and making across America. So he took this idea and ran with it. And in Hershey, Pennsylvania, he's made this whole town so popular, they named it after him. And he's got I believe it's an amusement park now. And of course the factory, but all thanks to these little bits of heaven right here.
Well, I was talking about 60 years ago.
Yes, yes, yes. And I can imagine how about that time it would be
Yeah.
different, so different. Yeah, I love it. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna take these out.
Smells good.
Yes, it does. Oh my goodness. So we have our cookie base, and you can tell how it's come together. Actually looks like a very light graham cracker, not a giant graham cracker. There we are. I'm gonna put this up here. So what we wanna do, carefully, I don't wanna burn myself. Let's get some gloves. So at this point, with the base still hot, I know the recipe says that we could wait for it to cool, but I want my s'mores to be as authentic as possible. So I want my chocolate to be nice and melted and gooey and ooey. So I'm going to take my squares and break them up and line it in my pan, and I'll tilt it forward so you can see. I'm just going to fill the pan with the squares. Now, the Hershey bar is not my favorite candy. I tend to like things with added nuts or caramel. But do we have any Hershey bar fans where it's that's your favorite treat, your go-to? No? Okay, okay. That's good. You can name what is your favorite candy bar? Anybody have a favorite candy bar?
Forever Yours Midnight Dark Chocolate.
Oh, I've never heard of that before. Oh, interesting. Very.
And I like the Swiss chocolate.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, you know what? I also learned that Mr. Hershey,
Uh-huh.
when trying to create his chocolate bar recipe, he actually went to Switzerland to figure out how it
How
was
to
that
do
they
it.
had made. Yeah, yeah. Which was such a great idea. You know.
I love the light Cadbury chocolate.
Oh,
That's really
yes,
yummy.
that is good. And that you're from Ireland, is that
Yeah.
right? Yes. Okay. And Cadbury has a big presence over there, doesn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Uh huh. Mhm. As I think it's like the Hershey of America. The Cadbury
Yeah.
is the main candy producer. Yes. Oh,
In
that's
Canada
wonderful.
too, Cadbury.
I think the Dove chocolate is pretty good.
Oh, that is so good. Yes, I agree with that. Yes.
What's that, the Dove chocolate?
Dove
Yeah,
chocolate,
that's
yeah.
what I have.
But otherwise, I would say Hershey bar. My husband would say anytime, "Get me a Hershey bar."
Okay, well, that was good.
So we have our completed chocolate layer, and if you can see,
Yeah.
it's melting really nice in there, and that's what we want.
It's nice that you
Smells
did
good.
that, yeah.
Yes, yes. I think it'll combine very well. Now this is the hard part. In the recipe it says that this marshmallow cream that we have right here will spread easily, and I beg to differ, but we have our marshmallow cream right here, and we are gonna spread this all over it. I'm gonna drop it in little
That's-
dollops.
That's the one part of the recipe I wondered.
Yes!
Because I can't get cream to spread all that way.
I agree. Yeah, so I thought maybe as well as getting the chocolate bar to melt, I was wondering if having the cookie layer still hot,
Yeah.
if
right.
that would help.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't analyze it quite that far, but yes, I agree.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if we get this working. We'll see.
I
Hopefully.
can imagine when you spread it, it's gonna mix up.
Yeah,
Mhm,
right,
mhm. And I think a little bit of the mixing is okay, where
Oh, sure.
it's all gonna combine and we won't be able to see those layers. So I'm hoping it works to mix it together.
Um,
There we
I-
go.
I thought no matter how it goes together, it's good.
Yes, right? Yes, you can't go wrong.
You can't go wrong.
So I'll show you my dollops right here. Here we go. All around. Now let's see. This is a true test of my chefism. Let's see if I can do this.
Oh, you can do it.
Get this to all mix together. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think the heat does help. It is.
Yeah.
It is moving a little bit. If you can see it.
Yeah, right.
This is culinary skills right here. Culinary school skills.
There we go. A little bit. So it's combining a little bit, but it's still maintaining a little bit of the integrity.
But you're putting more marshmallow on top, so
Correct.
yeah.
More goodness. More ooey gooey
So-
goodness. Yes.
So I was surprised that they had the cream plus the marshmallows.
I was too. Yes.
Yeah, but I was anxious to try it.
So, in my thinking of this recipe and the reasoning for using the added marshmallow, I was wondering if that was because they wanted to incorporate that crispiness that the marshmallow gets roasted over the fire.
Oh,
So if you have the marshmallows on top, it's going to get a nice, almost
Yeah,
yeah.
broiled
That's
layer.
right.
right.
So that might be why I'm not, or unless this person really likes marshmallow, that could be it too. So we're gonna stick this in.
Yeah, but I
Double
think,
sweet.
Yes, yes.
yeah.
And we'll put it in there. So our finished product, and we'll go ahead and cut this up for you to try. But this is our s'mores bar, and thank you to Mrs. Wurzberger for the recipe idea. We love it. Thank you so much. Here we go.
But you've got, when
Oh, pretty warm. So I think it's okay now, but yes, you're right. If I wanted it to have more of the crispy layer, that is a great idea. Yes, absolutely. I'll go ahead and start cutting this up. And thank you for joining.